Welcome back to another episode of VHS Files presents the horror section. This podcast contains spoilers, adult content, and harsh language. Listener discretion is advised. Now your hosts, Josh and Jason. Enjoy the horror. Well, it's fitting that we're on a Zoom call right now, gentlemen.
Yes.
How are we doing tonight? We have Eric back with us again. Hi, Eric.
Hi, guys. Happy to be here.
I don't know if I want to be here after watching this movie. I'm kind of scared. I'm like, keep looking behind me.
Yeah, I have a dark hallway behind me.
Did the pillow just move?
Concerning a little bit.
Eric, there's eyes in the darkness behind.
Get my Polaroid out.
And now our special guest, a witch.
I am going to tell Jenny you called her a name on this show.
Dun, dun, dun. So we're back with you again for another horror section, and we're talking another modern horror movie, the most modern movie we've talked so far in our podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We watched Host, the Shudder original. It's on Shudder right now.
Well, speaking about like the most recent film we've watched, this is one of the first post-COVID movies that I've seen. Mm-hmm. Like they are in lockdown in this movie.
Yep.
And they're using Zoom because they're in lockdown. And it is a little bizarre watching a movie with that in it, you know?
Yeah.
And
considering Zoom really hasn't been part of our normal lives until COVID, and now it's like, oh, now they've already got him. Well, that's what's interesting about this movie from the get-go for me is like this was originally a based on a short story by the director Rob Savage, and he wanted to do this thing, but COVID put him in a tight spot with it, and he couldn't do it. So I was really kind of shocked to find out that he did all of this through video calls. Like he directed everyone through Zoom.
Well, that's what I was wondering is if they actually shot this that way. And
yeah, it's shot with the camera. Matter of fact, even the special effects done in each room that we'll talk about. He had to give them like a video class on how to set up practical effects in their apartments to shoot the movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's really creative and cool.
Yeah. That's where I found it. After watching the movie, it's one thing, but then when you started digging into how the movie was made, I'm like, that's fucking awesome. This guy went above and beyond.
Well, there's a lot of creative ideas in this movie, just playing with the format of being in a Zoom call. And of course you get some of the stuff that's, just starting out, you kind of get the setup in the beginning of the movie where, people are, some people are late, some people are waiting. There's some like technical stuff, that all feels pretty natural.
Mm-hmm. I like that we start with our normal, let's just go ahead and put it out there. I mean, if you've seen Unfriended or the Unfriended sequel or any of that kind of stuff, this is going to fall into that category. But I mean, I don't know if we're starting a whole new genre here with this style of filmmaking and how this is going to go in the future. But I mean, I do think this brings a little something fresh to the table. I mean, it doesn't feel like I'm watching. Well, I mean, you could almost take it as like another sequel to Unfriended, I guess. But I mean, they do something different with the premise here.
Well, it's almost like when you started getting found footage movies, and that kind of opened the door for playing with that format and seeing how you can use that format to do things that you wouldn't be able to normally get in a regular film. And he really mines a lot of interesting ideas out of a simple Zoom call here,
Yeah. It backs him into a corner, but it also opens things up. Like the things that I find kind of strange about watching these movies is the aspect of these are happening on a phone or on a laptop or something. When we're having to move around the house, like I have a hard time believing someone's carrying a laptop around.
Yeah. I kept wondering, is she carrying a laptop around or is it her phone?
Or an iPad.
Yeah,
or a phone. You really
I can't remember. Like, is she typing at any point? I can't remember, but I did wonder that. Like, are you really just like holding your laptop walking down the hallway? That's a little strange. But you get that with found footage movies too. Like, why are you still holding this camera? Or
right.
whatever, why are you still recording this? Weird things of why is the cameraman doing XYZ?
Yeah. Why is the
poke holes in it?
Why is the guy standing in the corner and you're still filming?
Yeah.
Yeah. This starts off just like all of them do, really. I mean, you've got your host of whatever starting the call, getting the people on. I do like you start with her and it kind of goes through the apartment. It kind of sets you up for that initial where you are, the geography of her apartment. I like that you also get that look downstairs out the window at her friend who's part of the call that they're supposed to be getting on. And she's like, I'm trying to get on and you're not letting me in the meeting. Like, I think that's pretty cool to see. Like, it gives you that aspect that this is happening in quarantine, because why the hell are you calling me when we could just be doing this in the house? Oh, we're in quarantine. We can't do it. Yeah. You know, we're trying to social distance.
You also learn that Gemma lives really close to Haley.
Yeah.
So, which comes back later in the movie.
Well, you even get a little spooky setup right there at the end, because she's in her house and she feels like something's off, because you kind of get that feeling, and then everything falls out of her closet. So you get a little bit of a jump scare at the beginning. So you're kind of thinking, okay, what's going on here?
One thing that this movie does well is create like long periods of tension where it's like got good timing as far as you're waiting for a jump scare and it goes just a little longer than you think it's going to go. You know what I mean? Even when a lot of the scares are just kind of, they don't mean anything. They're not even necessarily supernatural. Some of the times the girls are messing with the other girls. Some of the time, you know, it just ends up being a, you know, door coming in, which is supernatural, I guess. The ghost is doing it or whoever. But no, actually, that was before they even did that particular part. They hadn't even started the seance yet.
Yeah, it was just her on the call.
Yeah, but anyway, point being, there's some really nice, especially, I'm jumping ahead, but when the guy comes back at the end, their friend Eddie, and he's got the flashlight, and this is where the format really works well. Because the quality is so bad, it's not good at night. The camera, So you're getting almost no information. It's all digital, and like mostly black. You can't hardly tell. He's flashing this flashlight around,
right?
And you're trying to track it, and you're working so hard to try to track it with your eyes and make sense of it. And it really builds some like legit tension where you're just like starting to get kind of reminded me of Blair Witch at times.
Yeah.
You know, bit. Just with like the long moments of silence.
Mm-hmm. And you know, it's a mystery to them. They don't know what's going on. I mean, they can kind of grasp why this is happening, but you know, I do like that they establish this call and you get all of them coming onto the call together. And that's one thing I think they achieve pretty well. If it's the Unfriended movies or this or whatever they're using with this technology, like, they do a really good job of making me believe that these people know each other and are friends and have history together. And there's a very, like, it seems very natural, their camaraderie they have with one another on screen while they're doing the call. And
yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, I could see that going really sideways, but it is pretty natural.
And it gives us a good introduction to each character. As each one comes in, you kind of get a little bit of background. You get the girl who comes in with it's, I didn't write her name down, but she's got the boyfriend in the back who's kind of in a little bit of a tissy mood, and he goes into the other room. And
I think that's Radina.
I think it is Dina. Yeah.
I was just realizing on IMDb here, the actors all use their own names in this movie.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, and I also look. I think on Rotten Tomatoes, it's got 100% score.
It's 6.6 on IMDb and 73 on Metascore. Metacritic. I don't see Rotten Tomatoes on here. So.
But I was just like, wow. And I think the cool thing after watching it, they did this movie in 12 weeks from conception to handing it to Shudder, because this is a Shudder original. So that's cool. And if you guys listen and don't have the Shudder app, these guys are doing some legit, decent.
Yeah, their originals have been pretty good.
That's really kind of the drawback I had to Shudder at first, is like, I'm just going to get these schlocky, modern, cheaply made horror movies that aren't going to really do anything for me. And it, like in the past 6 months, I think is when I got Shudder, because they do have other things on there that you can watch other than their original stuff. And there were some movies on there I wanted to watch, and just happened to start clicking on some of these originals they've got. I've seen some bad ones and I've seen some pretty damn good ones.
Yeah.
And this one falls into the latter. I mean, it's not, I mean, it definitely is not anything special, but it's a perfectly serviceable horror movie.
I think they were really smart to keep it at 57 minutes. Like if they tried to pull this into like an 80-minute movie, I don't think I'd like it as much. It was like the perfect length.
Yeah. It's kind of like what you said about Terrifier when we talked about that. It was a short story that they extended. Yeah, and Eric said, well, you could have took another 20 something minutes out of it, made it maybe an hour, and it would have been great. And I think that's what they did here with Host. It was a short that they turned into a feature length Shudder film, but they still kept it short and moving.
Well, what I really like about this is the Zoom aspect of it. And if anybody, now that everybody's using Zoom in quarantine and whatnot, like if you're not paying for Zoom, you have an hour to do your call, and that's all. And that's where they stick their premise. Like you get an hour with these characters, and at the end of this movie, that hour's up. And I love that aspect of this.
That is a great framing for the movie too. Like when you're getting that countdown at the end and you're kind of starting to panic. Like, there's some great things with the Zoom stuff, like going to settings, having to like adjust things. Mm-hmm. I like when they turned the mic up really loud so that everyone could try to hear what was in her apartment.
Yeah.
I thought that was like a really cool idea. Well, not so much with Zoom, but the selfie stick, like periscope up into the attic.
When she's going into the
cool
attic.
Idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's using Zoom too, because she's
still
got
on Zoom.
The Zoom feed on their phone. But I thought that was a really cool idea of the selfie stick.
They're keeping it very modern with the way,
and like the filters, like the floating filter face that was not on a face, it was just floating. Mm-hmm. Like they really have some creative ideas with some of this stuff.
We get introduced to each character one by one. I love that they're talking shit about Teddy's girlfriend when they're getting on the call, and then all of a sudden it's one of those where like he jumps on and they have to stop talking about her.
Yeah.
That's part of what makes it seem a lot more genuine, is like that sort of stuff. And then you get the glimpse of her in the background, and they're like, oh, hi. Like, they're trying to be sweet to her, and she doesn't want anything to do with them. It's like, oh, that's just his stupid friends,
Yeah, that's like you guys before I get on the Zoom call. Talking shit about.
Yeah, we got to stop talking about the redheaded guy. The ginger is logging on right now. Stop making jokes.
Oh, hi, Eric.
Hey, buddy, how you doing? But the thing is, when I was watching this movie, everybody's getting together and all they're talking about is the event, and that's all they keep talking about is, hey, we're all here for the event. And I never noticed till later when we get what's her name, Salem,
I think is her name,
logs in, and then you're like, Salem. They're doing like some kind of medium type, guru type thing, and they're gonna try to have like a seance or something.
Yeah, it's a seance.
Because Haley had said that she's done it before. It was really cool. Some cool stuff happened and blah, blah, blah. And that's when I guess the movie starts to, because this movie moves along. I mean,
well, it's nice that the cause of all the trouble is the naysayers, the people that don't believe in it are the ones who cause all the trouble.
Damn, Gemma.
That's kind of cool as a viewer, because you kind of like, well, I don't believe in that shit, and then you go, oh, I'm gonna cause bad things because I don't believe. Yeah. So it's a fun little.
I like that Salem kind of sets up like, we're doing this over Zoom. I've never done this before. We don't want to upset people. Like, make sure you're not breaking traditions and all that, or whatever she called it. They could be, respect what we're doing, and that, you could be slightly less protected over Zoom. She points all this stuff out. I will say that, when they get into this, and we all do this with each other. We do this when we get around one another. Like, we have our inside jokes. We're able to kind of like look at each other and know when we're thinking something is silly, and kind of give each other the side eye on that sort of stuff. And that's really what they're doing here. But I have to say, like, when Gemma plays it up, she does, like, I believed it the first time.
It's effective. I mean, it's a legitimate freak out, and it was all just a joke, but it in the moment, it feels real.
Yeah. And I like that they go through all of that, and then you've got whatever's happening on Salem's side of things, and it's a nice little red herring, because you think something is about to start happening.
Mm-hmm. Well, they have a few they have a few like false starts, which gets you kind of off your game, because these movies are like, they are kind of formulaic when you get into this genre of like ghost movies and things like that, and you have to like outsmart the viewer at this point because we've seen so many now.
Seen it all, Paranormal Activity.
So you have to go on like off beats and try to surprise us. It's hard to surprise us these days, but they have some good moments in there. Yeah. And just some unsettling stuff, just that makes you a little,
And another aspect of it I really like too is you've got all these people together. You get this collective thing where they start this seance, and then Teddy's girlfriend comes and drags him away from that. And
she logged him out.
Yeah, and you like at the first watch, I'm writing him off like, okay, well, he's not going to be part of this anymore.
He was like checked in. He was part of the circle. So like, he's still in it until it's over, I guess.
Yeah, because remember they did start. He was there. They had his candle lit, so therefore he is part of the circle, even though he got logged out.
So after Gemma has her freak out, and then there's the banging and sailing stuff, and her stuff goes out.
She had a delivery.
There's a moment when Gemma is it Gemma or Jenna? Gemma. She blows her candle out, and that's where I was paying attention to things. Is like they wanted to keep the candles lit, and then I see that she blows. Not only does she disrespect what's going on by making up a story, but she blew the candle out, and they actually go back and reference that later. And I thought that was a little tidbit of something like.
Yeah, maybe that was like the moment where
she broke the circle, or that was just another thing that upset whatever, the spirit is that comes later.
Oh yeah. Cause I mean, you could see that, Haley, I mean, they're all good friends. And I think Haley and Gemma might be the close friends cause they live down the street from each other. But Haley is totally upset that Gemma just played it up. Like, hey, I want to do this. I wanted to take it seriously. You're my best friend. And now you're basically telling me this is stupid by doing what you did, which obviously turns into something very bad because she didn't take it seriously.
Yeah.
So,
and they do well with building the tension in the regard that you don't get Salen back on the call right away. It takes a little while to get her back on, and all this stuff starts happening while she's away. So they don't really know, like, are you guys messing around, or is this stuff happening? It's the chair that slides across the room that really gets everybody's attention.
Yeah. Haley's sitting there talking, all of a sudden she gets pulled backwards all the way to the wall over there. And that's, at that point in time, they're like, wait, who's doing that? You got somebody over there?
And that's the other aspect of this style of filmmaking that kind of works a little bit, is because you are in different locations. You don't know if somebody's just messing with you or if you're actually seeing something happening in front of your eyes right now.
Yeah. When you get Gemma playing her trick on everybody, that kind of opens the door for you to start thinking, is somebody behind this? Like, is Haley setting this all up just to trick somebody?
But you can tell that she's offended. She's offended by what's happened because, she has her moment where she's, stone faced and they're kind of ribbing her a little bit because she's, a little pissed off that they disrespected what was going on.
Yeah. And then we were, like you said, we start realizing that going on, that happens to Haley, and all of a sudden they're hearing noises because kind of like us on our Zoom call that we're doing right now, you can hear stuff in the background of other people's houses and they hear the banging. It's not at Haley's, it's at Caroline's house, the other girl over there. And they're like, wait, it wasn't here, it's over there. And then you see Caroline walking around. That's the girl with the selfie stick. She goes up in the attic to check out.
That's another like good Zoom moment where everyone's trying to figure out where that sound's coming from. We're not quite sure where it is.
Is it your feed? Is it me? Is it you? Who's doing it?
There are two things that they set up here that I really love. One is the filter that the girl has on her face, and it keeps, she keeps flipping through the filters as they're doing this. Mm-hmm. But I like that. I think it's Caroline that sets up the revolving video. It's her screensaver or her background picture. I think that was pretty smart because once we start getting into the nitty gritty of this, it cuts to that. And by this time you've got all this stuff going on, you kind of forget that was there.
Yeah. It's a great old switcheroo.
Yeah.
And then it's really creepy how it keeps playing after you see her attacked or whatever. It keeps playing over and over again. I mean, I don't know how many times it starts over, but that in itself is just creepy. As you start getting the 5 or 4 different boxes of Zoom feeds and they start to disappear because eventually you're losing people.
Yeah. Well, because at that point where Caroline goes in the attic, we kind of get our first. I mean, we got the jump scare kind of thing with the chair, but she's up in the attic with her cameras, on the little selfie stick going around, and you get that zoom by and you see the feet hanging.
Yeah.
There. And then, it was just like a zoom and went back, nothing there. And you're like, oh shit, there's something here. Obviously, that's our first kind of like tie into the whole like paranormal activity and everything. There's something in the house.
Do you think that this movie would be better if they didn't show us the demon at any point?
That's kind of where I was going to go with the good, bad, and the ugly when we get there.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing. Sometimes it's better what you don't see.
Yeah.
Well, they play with that a little bit too, because you've got the girl, the first girl, what's her name? God, I'm so bad with names. Haley starts doing the Polaroid with the flash.
Yeah, and she sees something.
Yeah, and that's when we get that picture of something hanging in her bedroom, which that's a creepy photo once it shows.
Yeah.
But I won't even lie to you guys. This movie got me on a jump scare. And it's when that wine glass breaks.
Yeah, that's right here what we're talking. Yeah, bam.
Oh my, dude, I wasn't expecting it at all, and the noise it makes, the audio and everything right there. I don't know what it was the first time I watched this movie, but that I'm not usually one that's susceptible to jump scares too much. But when that glass broke, I jumped back. I kind of I was like, damn, I wasn't expecting that. And neither were they either, because that's when they really all just start freaking out. It's like, okay, this could be one thing or another, but how do you explain what just happened there?
Mm-hmm. And that's when we get Salem. She hops back in. She comes back.
Oh, you done fucked up.
Yeah. She basically told them that she lied, that Gemma had lied about it. And then that's when we start getting, because we saw the feet hanging. So now we get the explanation of kind of what's going on.
And I kind of like that.
Just a short explanation of it.
Yeah, I like the concept that you created a pretend person. You
now you've got to deal with it,
and then now they can take it and wear it as a mask, kind of a thing. So that's a cool concept, at least.
Yeah, I like it. And that's the things that they bring to this. That's just a little different. It's not like you're Unfriended now. Unfriended kind of goes down some of that stuff, but it's a lot more shocky. I don't know if you guys have seen that one, but the hand in the blender scene and stuff like that.
I've only seen the first one.
Dark Web's actually not bad.
Really?
It's a different take on what happened in the first one, but I enjoyed it. One of my favorite things that they set up in this as well is what's her name? Her name's Radina,
and her boyfriend or husband.
Yeah, they set up the boyfriend in the beginning that's upset. He goes in the other room. She's got the room to herself, all that stuff. And then when the shit starts really hitting the fan, she goes looking for him, and he's nowhere to be found. And as us watching this, knowing how horror movies go, we're going to get something from this. But I thought it was clever the way they put it together, and then you find out what happened to him in a pretty good way. Not graphic by any means, but it is kind of surprising when you do find out what happened to him. Or I don't even know if you really find out what happened to him, but we see him come back into the picture in a big way.
Yeah. Because we get all this going on with Dina, and then we notice that Caroline gets up and walks away from the computer, and she walks into the other room. And I think this is where we get the beginning of the repeat screensaver. Yeah. And all you had was that quick flash of something on her laptop. You're like, what the hell was that? So and then we were talking about the face filter, because now everybody's experiencing something in their own apartment or their home where they're at. Something's going on, noises, bangs, something. And then Emma is going into her living room. This is one of the cool, I like this, when she goes in there and she's holding her laptop or phone up, and you see, because like she said, she was doing the filter faces with the tongue, snake tongue. And then you see the pantomime looking face over in the corner. You're like, I had this stop. I'm like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, it's just like an augmented reality through her phone only kind of thing.
But it found a face, because it has to sense something.
Right.
And it's there. And you're like, holy shit. And then it disappears. And I just thought it was cool with the whole flower thing. Like she's trying to see if anything's actually there, throwing it in the air.
I liked the flower because you get it twice with the feet walking through the flower and then flower footprints after that.
Yep.
Yeah.
They did a good job
that
with
made
that.
it just a little cooler than just flower.
Yeah, I mean, because they're just trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Because, like I said, everybody's experiencing something different, noises, doors, and then she's obviously, I mean, was it Haley had seen something in her Polaroid picture there, and now, what's her name, Emma, has found the face, and something's chasing her through the apartment because all the kitchen doors fly open and all the groceries come flying out. Yeah. And then she's there again, turns around, and then you see the footsteps of the flower, like Eric was just talking about. And I was like, this is actually kind of interesting. I mean, the two of you guys had seen the movie before me, and I didn't know what it was. I told Josh when we were
this
talking
is
about
my first time watching it. But
yeah, I told him I thought y'all were talking about an old movie called The Host.
He thought we were talking about the Bong Joon-ho movie.
Yeah, and I'm like,
I love that movie.
Why are we doing that? And then he said it's on Shudder, and I looked it up, and I was like, oh, this is something totally different than what I thought it was. So I was like, okay, but that part got me pretty good. I mean,
yeah, we get into Invisible Man territory a little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit. Yeah,
definitely harkens into that. I like that there's that point where you think Emma is dead, but she just dropped her phone.
Yeah, well, like she gets held up in the air by her throat, it looks like, and then boom.
Yeah. But you think she's dead, the phone falls, but then she picks it back up. Like, I think that was pretty clever because,
and they're logging people out because now Caroline is like totally gone. She's not even part of the chat anymore.
Yeah.
Like her little block is gone. And I noticed they kept doing that. Like everybody's blocks would kind of disappear and then come back.
Well, that's another good moment is when, you've got that loop going on Caroline's screen and all of a sudden you find out that whatever is there is getting her. Like that's that shot where it's just that loop and then all of a sudden her face comes into frame and it's bloody and
yeah.
I loved that.
That's pretty brutal.
Love that part. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Because it doesn't just do it once. Like they go back a couple of times and it hits and it's pretty effective.
Yeah, because that's where we get the Radina thing where you were talking about. Because like I said, this movie just the scenes just come, and she's looking for her boyfriend, can't find him. And there was a couple times where she went by this one little room, and I thought I saw blood on the floor. It was just a shirt. So I was like, because I'm starting to look for little things in the background, and I get there, and she walks out in the hallway, and she's just like standing there, and all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah.
He comes falling like from the hallway ceiling onto the floor. And I'm like, whoa, okay. I was expecting something. I was expecting him to fall out of a closet, old school Halloween, Friday the 13th. But no, the guy's like stuck to the freaking ceiling like the fly and he just falls.
Well, that's one thing I think they did pretty well here is me seeing lots of movies like this. I'm constantly paying attention to the background.
Yeah.
Because they'll usually show you something that's going on that you should be paying attention to. This one doesn't necessarily do that a lot. It definitely plays with something's going on, but it doesn't give you any of that stuff in the foreground that you're really looking for. Like they play with that with the Polaroid and the hanging person. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I mean, it's, like when what's-her-face's boyfriend falls from the ceiling, like he's not in frame at all. Like you never see how he got there or anything. It's just all of a sudden, boom, he's fallen from the ceiling.
Yeah, if anything, you're looking in the background where the hallway is, and then it comes from where you're not expecting.
And then
she
runs out to the door, and that's another one. I think she died at that point because she runs it and she gets drugged back real quick. Mm-hmm. And you see the camera, you hear this big thud, and her camera's there, and you can see like a little dot of like blood on the screen.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, I think Radina's dead.
Everyone has their own final screen after they die, so and they're all unique and kind of indicative of what happened, which is kind of nice to have that there as like a final. I mean,
here is where the movie got me for a second because I've forgotten about Teddy at this point.
Yeah,
and all of this stuff is going down, and all of a sudden it cuts to that screen, and when he has that marionette and it comes walking onto the screen, I was like, oh no, they're not going down this. Like I legit thought it was going to be something, but all of a sudden Teddy pops back into the frame. And he's like, hey,
yeah. With the dancing marionette thing, I was waiting for the marionette to be like, come up at the screen. And it's like dragging Teddy across the floor by his head or something. I was totally going like Poltergeist, something, but no, it's just him like, hey, what's going on, guys? Oh wait, you're all being murdered.
Yeah,
but
this is where you get that great flashlight stuff.
Yeah,
and his girlfriend gets pretty cool kill there.
Dude,
up in the air and broken neck, drop in the pool. And then
I like during all this time is when Gemma is running over to Haley's house to try because Haley's been pulled away at this point. And again, they set up that they're so close.
Yeah, a lot of dragging. It's like Paranormal Activity. They gotta drag everybody to the house.
Yeah.
Should have called this movie Dragging.
It's not host, it's just dragging.
Drag. What a drag.
I also love that this music box that Teddy brought to the seance that like creeped him out as a kid.
Is sitting there. Yeah. At his, oh man. Yeah. Like, that is a creepy moment. And really, I have
a hard time establishing, is it in a barn or an attic or something like that?
Oh, he's like outside, dude.
Yeah. It looked like a barn to me.
It looked like a barn.
And
and I love that. Yeah, and it's like a whole ode to the Blair Witch Project when he's holding the flashlight and he's on the screen. He's like, oh. I was like, this is total Blair Witch right here. I mean, it was like the same shot. I was like, I even wrote it down here. Blair Witch. Teddy has Blair Witch moment. Because I mean, he's like holding the and it's just him and Emma. I think at this point because everybody else is logged out. It's just him
Emma's
and Emma
basically
on the screen.
under her blanket watching everyone slowly die.
Yeah. Because that's the one thing about this is like, again, like, why would you still be holding the camera? Like, I find it hard to believe that she'd just be sitting there under her covers watching all of this go on. Like, but I mean, it's a movie, guys. Got to make it work somehow.
Don't you know the blanket protects you from the bad things? All you do is got to get under it. Don't you know that as a kid? You just hide something.
But they fucking light Teddy's ass up, and I like that it stays on him while he's burning there for a minute.
Yeah.
It's pretty gruesome.
It's pretty unsettling. And at first he's asleep or knocked out, not asleep, I guess.
Yeah.
He wasn't taking a nap.
Yeah, he was definitely knocked out.
But when he wakes up and he's burning, that's pretty rough.
Well, I'm getting haunted by a ghost. You wake me up when you're done.
But I even think it's cool with the fire effect because I mean it's kind of out of shot and you see it slowly like creeping up his arm.
Yeah,
the burn, and you're like, whoa, he's on fire. This is kind of cool. And not like normal. He's like, boom, you burst in the flame. It's literally like just slowly going up him, and then he's just like you said, he wakes up screaming because he's on fire. Everything's like at 1,000 times worse than it was. And then we get back to Emma again, and this is one I like this part with Emma because I was totally not expecting it when she's running from the whatever's in the apartment when she actually comes out from under the blanket.
Yeah.
Dude, that's one of my favorite parts of this whole movie.
Well, this doesn't have a whole bunch of things in it, but I do want to get to some quotes.
You're going to need a bigger quote.
So much so that I don't even think you guys have anything written down.
I do not.
I have no quotes for me this week.
I got one. Gemma.
Yeah. They're like, you bitch. I think, did they say that?
Probably. Well, this probably comes from me watching it 3 times already, but when they all get on and start doing the seance and they're all like, happy spookies. Like, I don't know, something about that just stuck out to me.
Josh, you need to say that every time we do the horror section now.
Happy spookies. But I like when Salen gets disconnected from the call and then they're trying to figure out what happened. At some point, I think Haley says that Salen texted her, and I don't remember who says it, but one of them says, "Did she text you with telepathy?" I don't know. That made me laugh pretty good. And when all of this starts going down, I think it's Emma who says, "If I die, I'm actually going to haunt you myself."
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But those are the ones that I wrote down. That's. I mean, I love the "Did she text you with telepathy?" That one made me laugh pretty good.
Yeah, that's
pretty cool. Is that our quotes? We got them all.
That's all I got. Yeah,
that's all.
Yeah. Was there a tagline for this movie, Josh? Did you do that?
Someone new has joined the meeting.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, there you go. Look at Eric. He's on it. But yeah, back to the part with Emma when she comes out from under the covers. Another one. I think she had the best interaction with the demon or whatever it was because she had the face and then the flower.
Yeah.
And then she has her blanket because she's like, she could feel or see something. And when she throws that blanket and it just goes, it forms.
Yeah.
To something standing there. I was like, whoa, shit. And she's Yeah. And she runs to the window and you're like, oh, she's going to jump out the window and probably, or the demon's going to push her out the window. I love it that of course you see this flutter of camera and it hits the ground. And you're like, oh, she's dead. She fell. But then you see the camera looking at a picnic table and all of a sudden you see her face plant through the picnic table from the phone. Yeah. And I was like, that was a cool shot.
Yeah. Another example of this movie making you think it's going to do it now. And then it does it a beat later. Exactly. It just kind of keeps you on your toes a little bit.
Yeah, because you're kind of thinking she fell out the window. She probably has her phone in her hand or it fell next to her. Kind of like Teddy, but it fell right in front of his face and then he catches on fire. But it's just like that. Boom, sits there. And it's like a 1, 2, boom, right through the picnic table. You're like, okay, that's interesting. And I've seen a lot of horror movies in my life, but I liked that shot. That's probably, like I said, it's probably my favorite shot of the movie.
At this point, we've got Gemma and Haley left, which we don't even know if Haley's still alive. We just know Gemma just ran over there to see if she could help.
She quit. That girl's quick too, man. She should have been in the Olympics.
But we get her in there and she gets hit with a bottle right off the bat. And dude, that thing hits her in a way that like, I thought that it took her out because she hits the ground and it was like, it looks like it does some damage, but, I really like when she gets up and recovers and she's trying to figure out what's going on. And then all the cabinet doors and everything open at one time is a nice little spooky spot there for you.
I liked how the cup was kind of like a small thing, like almost like a surgical, just, dropped her real easy. It wasn't some big show, you know what I mean?
That's what I was thinking from like the Foley aspect. Generally you hear somebody get hit with a bottle, it's that shatter thing. This really sounded like a thud, like somebody really got hit in the head with a wine bottle. Mm-hmm. It wasn't, the overblown effect sound. It was just that thud. And you're like, oh shit. Like Josh, I thought she was dead because I mean, that's a full bottle of wine or whatever. And I mean, it was just like,
yeah, I thought she was a goner then too. I thought that was where the movie was going to end, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I was kind of feeling that too.
But we find out Haley's alive. She's just been cowering in a corner in her bedroom. And then this is where it really, like, if I wasn't sold on what was going on in this movie, this is where it sold me. And again, the framing aspect of the Zoom call is because when it flashes that box up and it says countdown to when your call will end, and like it's telling you this movie's about to end, guys. So it's setting you up for that last jump scare, which I think kind of hurts the ending a little bit because
I liked it.
I like that it's coming. It's just I like and I don't like that what's about to happen in a sense. Like I think it would have been better if it honestly would have just like cut to black, Sopranos style. I just that is the only thing that really kind of bothers me about what I'm watching with this so far is that they have to go with that last cheap little jump scare on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. How could it not end with a jump scare? I guess
I know it's part of the formula of a movie like this, but I don't know what else they could do to get more creative with it, but that was the only thing. Like I love the countdown aspect that it's about to end, but the fact that I knew from the moment it started counting down that I was going to get something jump in my face at the end,
Yeah. And but like Eric said, the way they do it, normally you get 2 shots with the camera, 3rd shot you get it, 3 shots you'll get it on 4 count. I mean, this goes for a while down that hallway, and like you said, it builds tension very well because you're thinking now, nope, okay, oh now, nope, now, nope, and then it happens, and then I like how it cuts away and then it goes to the computer. Like, all right, who's operating the computer? Because then it starts scrolling through the contacts.
Yeah, it's cool that the final credits were just Zoom contacts. That's pretty cool.
Let's just go ahead and get to it.
The good, the bad, the ugly.
The good for me is the credits in this movie. Like, I fucking love that the movie ends and then it starts scrolling through that contact list, and that's your cast and your crew and all. Like, I love that that's how they do the credits in it, which I'm pretty sure they've done before in a sense. I think they did it with that movie Searching as well. But the ending, the way that everything with the Zoom call culminates for the ending of this movie is my favorite part of it.
It's very tight. Like, it's all in the Zoom meeting. Like you say, it's all in that hour. opens with the zoom window, it closes with the zoom window. It's got a small cast, so it's just like a short little list of people involved.
Yep.
It's just, everything's just like a nice little neat package. It's only an hour.
And I like, it doesn't bog you down with stuff. Like, you get the sense that Haley has, done the seance thing before and has actually gotten something out of it, but they don't bog you down with like all this backstory and how it might be playing into what's happening now. Like, it's literally just an isolated event and someone fucked it up by making up a story, and that's why Haley is upset, is because she's been here before and she knows that you shouldn't do that kind of thing. But you get what you need from that, and they don't bog it down. I really like that aspect of it. The bad and or ugly for me is just like, this is unfortunately not a new premise and not a new thing. Like, it's really just going to get lumped right in there with Unfriended and all that stuff. That's really the only thing that I see hurting this, but that is what it is. I mean, but for what it is, I do enjoy this movie enough so that I've watched it 3 times already. So
you're an animal.
Yep.
He's hardcore.
I'll go. My good is clever ideas. We've mentioned them already, but just playing with the format, playing with the little effects and the backdrops and the green screens and the sound and all that those little things. Bad and ugly is just going to be the creature design or the character design, the times you see his face. I would have liked something more
ambiguous,
maybe more kinda blurry, more abstract. You get too good of a look at it. I don't mind it so much at the very end, but you see it one other time in like a panning shot, and it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
I don't like it. That's it.
Jason?
My good, for being a horror fan, I actually like the timing Eric had brought up. Some of their scare timing is off of what a normal expectation would be. So therefore it feels new and refreshing. I mean, because you're just expecting that 1, 2, bam, or 3, 4, bam, and it does it. The timing is good. It builds good tension. Even, like I said, even the beginning of the movie before the Zoom call starts, she's walking. There's something like the tension she builds just walking over, and then she keeps hearing the thud on the window, and it's Gemma throwing rocks. They kind of start building tension from the beginning, and this movie's only an hour long. So I would say that the tension is really great. My bad and ugly is Eric just brought it up. The pan over, I think it's Teddy in the barn when he pans over and you actually see the whole thing is crouching down looking at him.
He's like painted black.
Yeah, it's it looks like one of the creatures that you buy at Spirit Halloween in the corner over there. I mean, you're gonna drop probably $200 on it, and it's cool to have as a yard ornament. I think they could have done a little better.
All you had to do was make it a little blurry.
Yeah, just
you didn't even need to redesign it. Just don't focus on it. Leave it blurry in the background with some like artifacting around it, because that's be perfect.
And I like and I'll touch on one more good thing. I said bad was some of like these people were doing these effects in their own home, like the whole sheet over a body there, the doors opening. I give kudos to these people that basically made this movie with this director, and they all threw in. They weren't just actors; they actually had to help make this movie.
Yeah,
and I think
like a really cool group project.
It's like me, you, and Josh making a movie together. We would all have to. We could all do it together. It wouldn't just be Josh say, "You guys go do this." It would be a group effort, and I thought that was really cool that happened too. So
yeah, I mean, collectively, what we're talking about is good here. I mean, I'll be honest, like, I would rather watch this movie again. I've watched this movie 3 times now. I would rather watch this movie again than, say, Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines. Like, I know Paranormal Activity falls more into the found footage, which this is in a sense still a found footage movie. Yeah. I mean, we're playing with technology, but this is still really, I mean, I would throw Unfriended and this all kind of in the same genre as found footage. But
yeah, I would too.
I think this has an edge because it is short, condensed, and it gets right to the point, gets you into the mix, and gets you out in a timely manner. And it's a fun ride. Like, they don't spend a whole lot of time like bogging it down. They know how to build suspense, but it's not at anybody's expense. Like, you're sitting there and you're getting through this pretty quickly, even though they're building tension with it. And I think that really works for this.
Definitely. I know I see in the future, using my crystal ball, there's probably going to be about 7 more type movies like this in the future, of the whole different formats of doing things on TV screen or on computer screens.
Yeah, I mean, the use of vid chat is only getting more and more. So it makes sense that we're gonna want to see the world through this way in our movies as well.
I'm waiting to see a horror TikTok start happening since TikTok is taking off the way it is. I'm waiting to see a movie revolving around that world.
Well, one thing
at some point
I saw a commercial for I don't know if it was Disney Plus or what it was, but it was like what you do is you have like a watching party.
Mm-hmm.
And you all watch a movie while on a Zoom call, basically together.
Yeah, I've heard about
watching at the same time.
That might be something cool to do
too. Yeah,
we should do WandaVision. The last episode, all of us do it together.
I mean, there's a few in here, so let's see if we've got any.
Top kills.
All right, Jason, you got a top kill?
I'm going first, and I'm going with Caroline's face being smashed repeatedly into the desk. I'm thinking Cannibal Corpse hammer smash face right there. Like bam, 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 bam. I was like, holy, but I love the shot of it because we get the face into the monitor that one time. Mm-hmm. And then when you get the loop, and then all of a sudden it's literally like bam, bam, bam. It's like it's like holy shit.
It's like that GIF that went around the internet or maybe it was a video, I don't know, because there was audio with it, but thing that went around the internet where you look at this empty room and you're like searching through this photo, and then
something flies,
it switches and something's right in your face and it like screams, which scared the shit out of me the first time I ever saw it, like way back when, early internet. But that's what it's like. It's you're looking in that video, and then all of a sudden she's right in your face and she's getting smashed in there. That's great. That was mine as well.
Yeah. I like you even see her, like she gets a moment of like, I'm like,
they linger on her there for just a second.
That's a pretty brutal kill. So that's what I'd go with. All right. What you guys got?
So that was yours also, Eric?
That was mine. I'll pick another one. You go first though.
I'm going with Teddy's girlfriend.
God damn it. That was my second one.
I love that it just cuts to her and she's way up above that pool, and all of a sudden, she's just, and then she falls down into it.
Yeah, it's
a nice little surprise.
And it's so disrespectful too. She just gets cracked and dropped in the water.
Mm-hmm.
Due to process of elimination, I'm going to go with Teddy catching fire while taking a nap, and that's it.
I'm going honorable mention Emma face planting into the picnic table too.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say, like, the brutality of the kills they do here is pretty good. I mean, there's not one that's really you don't see what happens to Gemma or Haley, so unfortunately we don't know what happens there. But everybody else, it's pretty brutal. I mean, this was absolutely a surprise to watch on Shudder. Like I said, I was very, very against like getting Shudder at first because I was afraid it was just going to be all cheap, cheaply made horror movies that I was not going to have any interest in. But I'm so glad that I have subscribed to Shudder at this point, because I'm actually catching some good movies there. Hashtag not sponsored.
It's pretty surprising. A lot of these streaming services are making some good stuff. Some of the Amazon originals have been great.
Yeah.
The Hulu original stuff has been great. HBO stuff is always good.
Yeah, I mean, even
Netflix stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, we just watched the new one with Zendaya and what's his name, John David Washington, the Malcolm and Marie. Have you guys? No. We watched that one the other night, and dude, I don't know where Zendaya came from. Obviously, the first place I saw her was Spider-Man: Homecoming, but that girl is a force to be reckoned with in the acting world right now. That girl has got some chops. She is damn good.
Well, my kids used to watch Zendaya on. I don't even know if I'm saying.
Was she like a Nickelodeon or like a Disney?
Yeah. She was a Disney kid. She was on.
Disney kids.
I'm trying to look it up right now. Anyway, Shake It Up. Shake It Up. I believe.
Not familiar with that one.
But my daughter watched that. So Zendaya's like, a Disney kid to me in my brain. Like I can't see her as anything other than her character as a child actor, which is kind of frustrating because I do think she was good in some of the other movies I've seen her in.
Yeah. But the whole Shudder thing, yeah, I'm with Josh. If you're listening, go check it out. Pay for it. I think they even have a free trial. If you start out and you can check it out. They got some great. I mean, I think a movie that we've all talked about. Another one, Haunts, Spiral.
Yeah.
They got some really good thinker type movies in there. They've been great. I mean, I've been with Shudder since it was a beta tester, and they just, like Josh said, when they started out, they had some like D movies on there that weren't theirs, that most people didn't pay, and all of a sudden they blew up, and they're getting better every day. So
Glenn Danzig's new movies on there. I think that one's going to be
the new
like
one. Oh
A+.
my god! Maybe it dropped a little bit of being good, but no, I still love my Shudder. That's the best. Whatever, like $7-8 a month or whatever it is I'm spending right now. I turn on Shudder every week.
There are a couple other Shudder originals on there that I've watched, and a couple more I do still want to watch, and I'm absolutely game for talking about them here. If you guys would like to hear us talk about some of these Shudder movies, we absolutely are on board for talking about some of them. The Dark and the Wicked is one I've heard a lot of good stuff about, and I actually picked it up. I haven't watched it yet. I'm anxious to watch it. And I watched The Beach House, which is another original.
Yes.
And that one was pretty good.
I haven't seen that one yet. It's on my list.
It's not about. And if you guys want to watch something, since we always talk about maybe some newer horror movies, go watch Willy's Wonderland with Nick Cage all over on Amazon. That's a pretty fun movie. It's not great, but it's fun. Maybe we'll talk about that one once you guys don't have pay $20 to watch it.
Yeah, $20 to rent it right now is not happening for me.
Wait till it comes out on Blu-ray. We'll talk about that one. So,
but that's our conversation about Host. I think if we talk longer than this movie is, then there's a problem, and we're running up and right about an hour right now. So, until then, be kind, rewind. This has been the horror section.
Get the fuck out!
It's over.
All right, guys, I'm toast.
You've been listening to the VHS Files presents The Horror Section. We drop new episodes every Friday, so make sure you're subscribed and leave us a rating and a review wherever you get your podcast. Interact with us on all social media platforms at VHS Files Podcast. Email us your questions, comments, and movie suggestions at vhsfilespodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back.
It was
Dude, something just moved behind you.
Dude, there's something behind you.
Something just came out of that room.
Anyway, I'm gonna go shave in your bathroom.